Well, all I can say is I hope they got one sturdy table for Brian Kelly's post-game news conference. Welcome into the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you stopping by for the game of the week in the SEC. Undefeated LSU, undefeated Texas A&M. The final two teams with 0 losses in the SEC matching up at Kyle Field, and it was a barn burner. One of those classic tale of two halves as LSU dominated, controlled the first half. They led 17-7, and Garrett Nussmeier, as was stated earlier today by, I believe, Booger McFarland, named him the best quarterback in college football. Hey, maybe 25 of 50 on this night, but once the momentum swung, he looked like a hapless fool. But in the first half, yes, maybe the best quarterback in college football. Actually, LSU in leading at halftime 17-7 left all sorts of points on the field. Beautiful 87-yard drive, their second drive of the game. Should have been a touchdown, had to settle for a field goal. They also had 2 missed field goals. That's 10 points they left on the field. Should have been 27-7. Instead, LSU seemed to be firmly in control, much like they were firmly in control with a 1-score lead, making it a 2-score lead just yards away from a few first downs to make it a 2-score lead in the opener against USC. They let them off the hook, lost the game in the final seconds, and that prompted the infamous Brian Kelly post-game. All right, so back to the LSU Texas A&M game. Batted ball, a final drive by Texas A&M on a 4th and 3 in which they were trying to mount some points, and Gio Paez made an exceptional play at the line that thwarted the Texas A&M drive, and that was it for the first half. Garrett Nussmeier stepped on by one of his own offensive linemen. No, not on the face, but on the foot, and he was hobbling around for the rest of the game. I guess when you get 300 pounds stepped on you, that might be the deal. But Texas A&M, really good football team, excellent defense, running game solid, quarterback play, Connor Weigman, very good, one of the top 15 or 20 quarterbacks in the country, but downfield receiving threats are minimal. Big guys, big body guys that can box defenders out, but can't stretch the field, and it looked like that would be the difference in this game and would be the limitation that would cost Texas A&M in trying to mount a comeback. But it was the defense and one running quarterback that led the comeback, as LSU had 291 yards of total offense in the first half in this game. All right, on to the second half. It started when Garrett Nussmeier made a horrible decision, and BJ Mays made him pay. So it's 17-7 at this point, and LSU's in control. They've got the football. Nussmeier flushed to his left, thought he could make a play and just hang the football up for his receiver. No, BJ Mays stepped in front, actually baited Nussmeier, and it was a terrible angle to try to fit in the football, and Mays took it all the way down to the LSU 8. Okay, to this point, Connor Weigman, not his fault, just a devastating LSU pass rush throughout the first half of this game gave him no chance in this game. But after 2 unsuccessful series to start the third quarter, boom, LSU gets the turnover, and these are the kind of decisions. Think 2017 Alabama-Georgia National Championship game. Nick Saban takes out Jalen Hurts in favor of Tua Tagovailoa. Think that. Marcel Reed comes into the game. It's only an 8-yard field. It's only an 8-yard drive. Connor Weigman's been struggling trying to move the ball down the field against this LSU defense the entire time. We don't know if Mike Elko just pounced on this situation, on this momentum, or whether he was thinking, regardless of the situation, regardless of the length of the field, Marcel Reed was coming into the game for Connor Weigman, or if he sees the momentum, got the mobile quarterback and the lightning rod in there to spark the offense. Boom, one play, 8-yard touchdown by Marcel Reed, and suddenly it's a ball game at 17-14, and you don't want to get Kyle Field riled up. You saw the camera shots of the place shaking. By the way, on a side note, Shamar Turner, excellent, talented defensive lineman for Texas A&M, needs to grow up. Somebody needs to have a heart-to-heart with this young man. I don't know if he's troubled, what the issue is, but he obviously has anger issues. There was one sequence in which he got in the face of Garrett Nussmeier, wasn't happy with the play that he did not get to the quarterback, and that Nussmeier completed a pass downfield. Got in Nussmeier's face. Okay, we see that all the time, but we don't see this. He threw his helmet into Nussmeier's helmet, slammed his helmet into Nussmeier's headgear, and then gave him a shoulder and knocked him to the ground. Now, did Nussmeier flop? Yes, he did. But that was completely uncalled for. It was a classless punk play. All right. Also, on that same drive, LSU had a running play in which Shamar Turner was duped, missed the running back, missed the play, and then he proceeded to go after the runner with a forearm and with a fist to the ground. Fortunately, he missed him. Had the officials caught that, he should have been thrown out of the game. All right, that's not the end of it. They showed footage on ESPN's broadcast of Shamar Turner before the game, mixing it up with some LSU players, in which one of these situations there was just some proximity between some LSU players and Texas A&M players, and Shamar Turner with his headsets on was just all of a sudden he's listening to some tunes, and then he just cold cocks somebody for LSU, or attempts to. So that is a troubled soul, and hopefully he will get some help and grow up someday. Back to the game. It went like this. Once Marcel Reed came into the game, it was obvious that although Blake Baker's improved this LSU defense immensely, he sold out on preparation for Connor Weigman. And once Weigman left the game, who's a mobile quarterback, but he's not a lightning bolt with the ball in his hands like Marcel Reed, that LSU had no answer for the Reed option. And Marcel Reed, like they said during the broadcast, has been running this type of offense since he was 14 years old. And Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator for Texas A&M, loves this style of offense. He ran it as a quarterback. He stylistically loves this type of play out of the quarterback position. And so he was licking his chops, and once Reed got into the game, it was a marriage made in heaven. And this is not the first time we've seen Marcel Reed. He stepped in for Connor Weigman earlier in the season and won a few ball games against Florida and against Mississippi State for Texas A&M. Also played in the bowl game last year for A&M. It will be interesting to see how Mike Elko handles this quarterback situation for the first place Texas A&M Aggies going forward, because Marcel Reed is the leader of this team right now, and you would think that he has taken over as the starting quarterback, and obviously Elko has an excellent option in a backup in Connor Weigman. Texas A&M takes on South Carolina as, again, the only team in the SEC that is undefeated in conference play. For LSU, they are 3-1. They've lost 2 games overall, and they've got a date against Bama coming up. This has to be considered a devastating loss for Brian Kelly and LSU, as, again, they were in control of this game, should have had an enormous lead, had a 10-point lead, and let Texas A&M off the hook. And again, it's a bad look from a coaching perspective that once you bring the backup quarterback into the game, as Mike Elko did, who's an excellent coach, that Brian Kelly and his defensive coordinator Blake Baker seem to be completely caught with their pants down. By the way, Texas A&M's running game, in addition to Marcel Reed running for about 90 yards, cranked it up with Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels at $174. This Texas A&M team is for real. They are multi-talented and strong, and now they've got a head coach that is much better than one Jimbo Fisher. Your comments and questions down below right here at the Voice of College Football. We appreciate you stopping by. Please like and subscribe.